Hello and welcome to Keys to the Crown, presented by Crown Royal. I'm Erin Summers, joined by Marcas Grant, fantasy football expert for the NFL Network. The Saints, they have a bye this upcoming weekend, which means we won't have running back Alvin Kamara in our lineups. Who do we start instead of him, Marcus?
Well, I think a guy that you want to keep an eye on, look at the Devontae Booker, perhaps, for the New York Giants, especially if Saquon Barkley's going to be out for a while. He's going to get a lot of work, and he's available pretty easily on waiver wires. Similarly for Khalil Herbert, the running back for the Chicago Bears. He got a lot of work this past week, and as long as David Montgomery is out, you can expect he's still going to get plenty of opportunity. And so those are a couple guys that are freely available out there on the waiver wire that you can go pick up just in case you don't have Alvin Kamara this week.
It's week 6. That means injuries are piling up. We're trying to get rid of some underperforming players. Who should we pick up heading into week 6?
I think one guy you want to get an eye on is Kadarius Toney for the New York Giants, and he had the big game on Sunday. Ended up getting ejected because he got a little heated. But what we've seen the last 2 weeks is that the Giants really want to get him involved. They're just getting him the football in his hands and letting him be athletic, going out there and trying to make plays and seeing what happens. If you're looking for a quarterback, but there are people out there who may have lost Russell Wilson for a good long while, I think in the short term, a guy like Taylor Heineke, I think, has some value this week. Even Ben Roethlisberger, who we haven't really been paying attention to in fantasy, has some value because he has a good matchup against those same Seahawks on the defensive side.
Yeah, you mentioned the Seahawks-Pittsburgh Steelers matchup. That's the Sunday night football game, one that Saints fans will be watching, as that's the next opponent after the bye. Who do you like in that matchup? Who you're starting and sitting?
Well, you're for sure starting Deontay Johnson. You know that Johnson's going to get a lot of targets regardless of the situation. The Seahawks defense is on a historically bad pace, so that's one you're for sure starting. I think you're staying away, though, from Geno Smith on the other side. And I say that, I know a lot of people might think that's sort of obvious, but he came in and he played really well last week after Russell Wilson got hurt. But we've also sort of seen this movie play out over the long term. Geno Smith is a nice occasional stopgap option. I don't want any part of him against what is a pretty good Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
All right, we have to talk about the kickers here. There were 25 missed kicks last week, 12 extra points, 13 field goals. Who are you still rocking with?
I'm always going to rock with Justin Tucker. I mean, we're talking about arguably the greatest kicker in the history of the game, the most accurate kicker in the history of the game. So I'm still okay with him. I know Mason Crosby had a rough day. He ended up kicking the game winner in overtime for the Packers. I'm still okay with him. It was a bad day. I'm willing to just kind of shake it off and chalk it up to that. He's been so good for so long that I'm okay with him. I also still, if you want to come down, say, to the Chargers and try the Chargers kicker there because they're scoring a lot of points, you want a guy on a team that has a really good offense. And then hopefully they don't score too many touchdowns, because too many touchdowns means just nothing but extra points. You want a few 3 and 4 pointers in there somewhere too.
Appreciate it as always, Marcus. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Erin Summers, and this has been your Keys to the Crown, presented by Crown Royal.